There are several questions we ask ourselves when we're evaluating new investment opportunities. The first question we ask, does this company matter? If it ceases to exist, if your company today ceases to exist, who would feel the pain of you not existing? So whose pain are you solving? Who would feel the pain? And how long would the party that would feel that pain take before they found an alternative to their pain? Because the deeper the pain, and the longer it would take to replace that pain, the greater your competitive advantage, and the greater the value. Because the numbers, they are a lagging indicator. They are not a leading indicator. The numbers are a consequence of. But investment, you're looking into the future. And you're asking yourself, will these numbers persist into the future? Is there a critical mass of customers out there that are relevant to this organization? The second question we ask ourselves, and we try to answer, will the core problem this company is solving matter tomorrow? Are you solving yesterday's problems? Or are you solving problems for your customers for the future? And so you look at what is a core customer base, and a lagging indicator, is there growth in that customer base? What's the retention looking like? What's the engagement, net promoter scores? Those are the leading indicators of what it will be like in the future. And in fact, in our investment criteria, this is number one. So this is even before we ask you who is the management, what kind of numbers do you have, what are your premises? Because the biggest asset of any entity is a customer. The biggest asset of you as a service provider is a customer you're serving today. Then the third question, who exactly are our customers? Who precisely, who is the customer? Who is your base? Because when you're valuing a company, you're looking at the present value of cash flows. Who exactly are these cash flows coming from? So if you think about it, today is 2019, you think 10 years from now, 2029. More than 75% of the workforce, and by extension, therefore, the customers, are people who have been born after 1983, 84. Millennials. And I meet many people and they say, we don't understand the millennials. If you don't understand the millennials, it means you don't understand your customer. Because like it or you don't like it, that is the customer base. And how are we responding to this customer base? Because if we don't have a compelling value proposition for that customer, then your business will cease to exist. I was reading a report recently that indicated that every 20 years, the companies that are listed in the FTSE index, at the beginning of those 20 years, only about 3 survive. 17 drop off. And these 17 have done nothing wrong. They're minding their business. They're doing what they've been doing very well. But their customer has moved. The cheese has moved. And so it's that constant reinvention and questioning, what is it that the customer needs? So then your competency, you're building it on the back end. What do these customers want? What else do these customers want? But then finally, for me as an investor, as a question, is there any other company that is serving these customers' needs better than this particular one? And depending on those questions, then there's a possibility I'll open your accounts. There's a possibility, then I'll start reading the information memorandum. If these questions are negative, or when you meet the owner, they are not clear, the answers cannot be clearly articulated, then we will not go to the next stage. The third point I wanted to share with you is the customer as a driver of continuous innovation. Because many times we address the question of innovation as an event. But if you look at the customer needs, they're constantly changing. And therefore it's essential that you're also understanding them. I'll give you an example. In our real estate business, we are really good at building, specifying and building products. So you build a wonderful house. But we never asked. The customer never featured in this discussion. So the architect is there, the engineer is there, we're there. We are all specifying what we want. This kitchen, I think this is what people want. And we did it very efficiently. And there's a project we did in Uganda Wonderful houses. If I show you, you can Google some of those initial houses in Palmarina. It's called Palmarina. Just check up some of those. Later when I'm done, yeah? You can look at it. And we did wonderful villas. And everyone who came and said, this is a wonderful project, wonderful villas. Only one small problem. Nobody bought. That's the only tiny problem. Everything else we did on time, we did on budget, we delivered to the correct spec. Beautiful. The kitchens are from Germany, and people came and we marketed, but nobody bought. And then you start thinking, you can be very efficient doing the wrong thing. And you do it very well, and you go for a strategy session, and you have process flows, but this one tiny person called customer never featured anywhere in our discussion.